everyone, it's JBReal. Welcome to episode 3 of Homeless Dad, Laws of the 3W series. If you've been with me from the start, thank you for sticking with me. If you're new here, go check out episode 1 and 2 because we're building something real here. In the last episode, we talked about the bubble, poverty, survival, fake norms, and why my brother's death made me ask one of the biggest whys ever. Why are so many men dying in silence? In the last episode, we ended with a call to action with you claiming to become an anomaly. In this episode, we're going to get into the moment when I decided to change the pattern, when I decided not to become part of the pattern or norm. What was the fake norm for me, the statistic for me? And stop asking myself, why has this happened to me? I started asking myself, why am I still here? At 30, I found myself a single father who has went through homelessness with my kids. We slept in trains, floors, you name it. The same pattern that I went through as a teen, as a kid. I wasn't breaking the cycle. I wasn't changing the cycle. I was repeating the same exact story. And this is something that I've always noticed, that there's always been this pattern. Why is it that I'm letting the Robles last name, the label of being a Robles, which is a junkie, a fuck up, a no good. Growing up, it's always was. If you slip and fall, had to be a Robles. You break something, had to be a Robles. You end up doing drugs, had to be a Robles. Everything had to be a Robles. And I was just following that pattern, right? Because I grew up believing that is the norm. That is what Robles do. That's what we do. We just become fuck ups. We either become fuck ups or we fuck shit up. That's it. See, my name Robles comes from the Spanish word for an oak tree. Actually, one of the strongest oak trees. It lives up to 600 years, lasts longer than some empires. When my father found out what the definition for the name Robles, he was so happy. He lit up because I remember he goes, this is why we're stubborn. This is why we're hard-headed, because we're strong. But for me, that wasn't what the definition Robles was. For me, the definition Robles was, you're a fuck up. You're a junkie. You're dumb. You're not hard-headed. It's just, you're just dumb. The Robles. Even in my family, I swear, it's like, oh, the Robles. When they say the Robles, they're talking about me and my brothers. The Robles, it's me and my brothers, And that's the way we were looked at. I never looked at it like, oh, we're strong like an oak tree. I never took pride in my last name. And as a father, raising 3 kids, 3 boys, I want them to grow up with honor, with pride, who hold themselves accountable, who help out their community, who walk around with their heads on their shoulders, heads up high on their shoulders. Men who could be respected. As a father trying to raise 3 boys like that, but knowing that we're cursed with this last name, I had to change the pattern. I had to figure out, what are the patterns that I am continuing? What are the habits that I am protecting? What is it that I'm trying to avoid, that I don't want to face? See, that's when I started seeing life differently. I started seeing life more in patterns. I've always kind of viewed life in patterns, but I never really understood it to when I was trying to make a change. When I was trying to make a change was when I started seeing life as, okay, there are patterns here that we are continuing. Which ones are the good ones? Which ones can I keep following, and which ones are the ones that I need to change? If I keep falling down on this step, why am I still going up these damn steps? Sometimes life is as simple as that, right? And it's just hard for us to admit it. It's hard for us to face it, that sometimes it could be as simple as that, as a pattern that we are continuing, that we don't want to break, because it's hard. It's hard for us as humans to break habits, because habits make us feel comfortable, and changing a pattern breaks you from what you consider normal. And to some people, that's scary. If your pattern is betrayal, failure, rejection, once you see the pattern, you got to stop asking yourself the why me. Once you see the pattern, it ain't about why me no more. You have to start asking questions that lead towards how am I going to break this pattern, right? So your why isn't the why me no more. It becomes why am I continuing this pattern? See, I've made many mistakes in my life, but every decision was mine. Every decision was my decision. I had the power to make a different decision. But I chose the one that I chose. When I led with emotion, I made excuses for my mistakes. When I led with logic and reasoning, my mistakes became lessons. And sometimes in life, because every mistake, there's a lesson. Every decision we make has an outcome, and every outcome there's a lesson. Whether the outcome's a good outcome or a bad outcome, there's always a lesson to learn in every decision that we make. But sometimes we're clouded. Our thoughts are clouded. And sometimes it's clouded with the pattern. So we don't see the lessons. We just see the failure. Sometimes in life, the question is as simple as what choices am I making daily? What environment am I staying in? What decisions am I making that's making me feel stuck? I'm a big believer that you need to believe in something. Now, I'm not saying anybody needs to believe in a religion, but you need to believe in something that's higher than yourself. You need to believe in something that's higher than yourself. Because if you don't believe in something that's higher than yourself, then you have no structure in life. And if you don't have no structure or a guide to follow, then you have no standard. And if you have no standard, you rot inside. And I know how easy it is to destroy something from the inside. See, you might think you have these strong walls around you. You might think you put these walls up, these barriers to block you and to protect your heart, right? Some people walk around with this wall to protect themselves, but the inside's weak. The inside's weak. And I know how easy it is to destroy the inside. You don't have to attack the walls. You could capture the mind from the inside, and now the mind isn't free. It's as simple as that. You could even look at society, right? You could look at historically at society, how empires fall. Look at Rome, right? Everything gets destroyed from the inside, not from the outside. Yeah, that's where a lot of us have it confused. We focus too much on what's outside instead of what's inside. So when you're leveling up in life and you're trying to get to this next level in life, see, people think, oh, you just go to the gym and work out, right? I'm gonna pump some iron, I'm gonna work out, and that's it. But you're ugly inside, and you're ugly here. So all this means nothing, right? You never worked on getting stronger here or getting stronger here. And as a father, as a man, as a leader, right? You're leading your kids. If you think you're able to lead your kids without fixing what's in here and what's in here, then you got something coming to you. Because one thing kids will do, one thing being a father, being a parent will do, will show you all the fucked up shit you have in here and have in here. It will show you. Because either your kids become it, or you push your kids away because of it. And that's a fucking fact. My brother was the strongest person I knew. He was the strongest person I knew. He saved us more times than I could count. And all it took was one screw to get loose, and that was it. One screw to get loose, and he became bipolar, schizophrenic. A few years after that, he took his life, and he was my hero. The man you see today is a reflection of him, of how I viewed him. but not the way he viewed himself. So he may have been strong on the outside, but internally he was fighting demons and battles that only he knew. See, nothing gave me more purpose in life than being a father. I know sometimes having no purpose in life feels like you're empty. It feels like you have no fulfillment. And I will be honest, a life without a purpose isn't a life at all. For me, what gave me the most purpose in life was being a father. That was the absolute greatest gift that I ever gotten in this world, was being a father and being able to be there to raise these young men. Now I sit here and I coach and mentor many young men. So my kids are growing up and they're going off onto their own world, but they were able to place me in an environment where now I could continue the legacy of helping the future and the future youth in the position they left me in as a football coach. But as men, we need a purpose. As men, we need a purpose. And I know it might be scary sometimes being a father. You might go through situations in life that scares you as a father, right? You're scared as a father. But the act of being a father, the act of being a parent is the easiest job in the world. I don't care what anybody says. I'll say it 1,000 times. That's one thing that I will never change. It was the absolute easiest thing to do, was to be a father. Life is the challenging part. How to manage life, that was difficult. But being a father, it's easy. I have people come to me. I always like, whenever somebody comes up to me and they're gonna be a new dad, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm scared to be a father. I'm scared to be a dad. You know, this is new to me." And I'd be like, "Well, you know what? You're gonna be fine. Because if you're concerned, if you're scared and you're concerned to be a father, you're gonna be absolutely fine. I know you're gonna be a great dad if you're concerned and you're worried, because you're going to be paying attention to the mistakes you make. You're going to be paying attention to the things you do. You're going to be paying attention to your life. You're going to be paying attention to the steps you make, right? Because your kids follow you. They mimic you. Your kids look up to you. They mimic you. The way you walk, the way you talk, how you move your hands. I want to cut my hair like daddy. I want to look like daddy. So I'm going to cut my hair like daddy, right? Because you're the hero. So that puts a little bit of pressure on you to start doing shit right. So if you're scared and you're worried about being a parent, about being a father, then you're going to be fine. It's awesome. I love being a father. It's great. But like I said, life challenges you. See, the day I decided to make the change, I was 30 years old. I was exactly 30 years old, and I was celebrating my birthday. We're celebrating my birthday. And, my brother is there and all that stuff, and I got the kids, and I'm looking at Isaiah, and Isaiah's lit up, and he's so happy, singing happy birthday for me, and you look at Jeremiah, and Jeremiah's happy, and Jacob, they're all excited, and but I wasn't. I was depressed. I was depressed with the decisions I made up to that point. All I did was continue the pattern. I have nothing to show for life. No education, no career, no nothing. Everybody's happy for me, but I'm not happy. That was the day I made a promise. I made a promise that I said, enough is enough. I looked at my kid and I told myself, enough is enough. I need to stop asking myself the wrong whys and start asking myself the right whys, to find out the right what, then the right when, And that's really when I started using the 3 W's as a blueprint, was at 30. I've always kind of asked myself these questions, but I never used it as a blueprint in life. And I started at 30. And I sit here 10 years later, exactly 10 years later. My birthday's in January. I'm recording this video in February. 10 years later, and I have been able to accomplish every goal I set out for in 10 years. Why? Because I decided to stop following the pattern. And I decided to start making a change and break the cycle. The cycle that I was continuing, I broke it. But I broke it because I had to be honest with myself. I needed to be honest. That's the only way I was able to break it, was being honest with myself. You can be the first one in your family to be the same way, to break the cycle. But it starts with being honest with yourself. And you have to be honest with yourself. Do you want to be the one to break the cycle? Then let's start with one comment. Comment enough is enough. Comment enough is enough right now. You have to start claiming this. You have to start claiming this if you're going to try to manifest this. Because manifestation is real. Creating the impossible is 100% possible. But you have to believe and you have to work on it. And micro progressions. You need micro progressions, right? We're not going to try to, this is a 10-year plan, right? You could do this in 10 years, right? You make a 10-year plan, you could do this. So let's not try to get to the 10-year on the first year. Let's go micro progression. Let me start working on my mind, okay? I love using this example, but sometimes you have to work on things like patience, right? And you're going to try to work on being more patient because you're trying to level up. So there's steps to this, and you're trying to be more patient. But to be more patient, you need to learn gratitude, right? So one comes from here, and the other one comes from here, right? But then now physically, you're more happy, right? Physically, you stand up higher. Why? Because you're more patient. You're grateful in life. You walk with your head up high. You're not walking with your head down. So now all three phases, like the mind, the body, and your heart, they all work together. So it takes these micro progressions to make this big, massive progression. So in 10 years, people look at you and they don't even recognize you anymore. Why? Because you made the change, but they don't know that it took all these steps. So you could become the first one, but it takes one comment. Comment right now. Enough is enough. And you could be the first one to break the cycle. Guys, go check out the book Homeless Dad, Laws of the 3 W's on Amazon right now. The link's going to be in the description. I put everything in. It's the first book of a 3-book series, but in this book, I put everything that ranges from parenting to suicide, from survival and homelessness to the lessons to mental health, you name it. I'm touching on all these topics and putting it together in a way where you come out of this ready to break the cycle. So go check out the book Homeless Dad. And if you're ready to say enough is enough, go check out JBReal Fusion Coaching at fusionhealthcanaan.com. The link's also going to be in the description. Like, share, subscribe. There's no hype here, no pretending. We rebuild here. One honest question at a time. Pound it. Deuces. I'm out, guys.